The Lord be with you.
And with your spirit.
Reading from the Holy Gospel according to John.
Glory to you, O Lord.
At that time, Jesus revealed himself again to his disciples at the Sea of Tiberias. He revealed himself in this way. Together were Simon Peter, Thomas called Didymus, Nathanael from Cana in Galilee, Zebedee's sons, and 2 others of his disciples. Simon Peter said to them, "I'm going fishing." They said to him, "We also will come with you." So they went out and got into the boat, but that night they caught nothing. When it was already dawn, Jesus was standing on the shore, but the disciples did not realize that it was Jesus. Jesus said to them, "Children, have you got anything to eat?" They answered him, "No." So he said to them, "Cast a net over the right side of the boat, and you will find something." So they cast it, and were not able to put it in because of the number of fish. So the disciple whom Jesus loved said to Peter, "It is the Lord." When Simon Peter heard that it was the Lord, he tucked in his garment, for he was lightly clad, and jumped into the sea. The other disciples came in the boat, for they were not far from shore, only about 100 yards, dragging the net with the fish. When they climbed out on shore, they saw a charcoal fire with fish on it and bread. Jesus said to them, "Bring some of the fish you just caught." So Simon Peter went over and dragged the net ashore, full of 153 large fish. Even though there were so many, the net was not torn. Jesus said to them, "Come, have breakfast." And none of the disciples dared to ask him, "Who are you?" because they realized it was the Lord. Jesus came over and took the bread and gave it to them, and in like manner the fish. This was now the 3rd time Jesus was revealed to his disciples after being raised from the dead. When they had finished breakfast, Jesus said to Simon Peter, "Simon, son of John, do you love me more than this?" Simon Peter answered him, "Yes, Lord, you know that I love you." Jesus said to him, "Feed my lambs." He then said to Simon Peter a second time, "Simon, son of John, do you love me?" Simon Peter answered him, "Yes, Lord, you know that I love you." Jesus said to him, "Tend my sheep." Jesus said to him the 3rd time, "Simon, son of John, do you love me?" Peter was distressed that Jesus had said to him a 3rd time, "Do you love me?" And he said to him, "Lord, you know everything. You know that I love you." Jesus said to him, "Feed my sheep. Amen, amen, I say to you, when you were younger, you used to dress yourself and go where you wanted. But when you grow old, you will stretch out your hands, and someone else will dress you and lead you where you do not want to go." He said this signifying by what kind of death he would glorify God. And when he had said this, he said to him, "Follow me." The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
The first thing that we have to take note, this is the third time that Jesus revealed himself with his disciples after being raised from the dead. So, you know the first time, it's the first day of the week. And if we will try to reflect on that first day of the week, it was still dark. The first person to receive and to welcome Jesus as the risen Lord will be his own mother. Remember, so on the first watch, that will be about 3 in the morning, the first person Jesus will visit after being raised from the dead would be his own mother. We don't have the accounts in scriptures, but we do believe that is what really happened. Because remember, the Saturday before the resurrection, Mary would be recognized as Our Lady of Solitude. She was the contemplative mother. She was there reflecting on how Jesus, remember, would really suffer, die, but he would rise on the third day. Then about 5 or 6 in the morning, we know that Mary Magdalene and the other women will go to the tomb, and they will find that the stone had been removed, and they would not find the body of Jesus. And so immediately they would return to Peter and John to tell the news that Jesus is no longer in the tomb. And so there will be Peter and John running, and we know that John will be the first to reach the tomb because he was much younger than Peter. And then when he looked at the tomb, he did not see except the linen cloths that have been used to wrap Jesus and the cloth that was placed on the face of Jesus. Remember, there are 2 cloths. The cloth that was placed on his body and then walked, because that is what we call mummifying. But then there's an extra small, like a handkerchief, placed on the face, and that would be placed on the side. And when Peter arrived, John would enter, and the Bible says, he saw and he believed. And when did he believe? Because according to some stories, tradition, if you wrap a person, okay, you wrap in the body's inside, it will have a form. But when you remove the body from inside, the wrapping should fall. Do you get me? But then what they saw is the same, exactly how they buried him. As if it's only here, because he said that then the wrappings would still be the same. And this we can see first, the wrappings, you have the struggle of Turin. Okay? And the second, that cloth placed on his face would be the Sudarium of Oviedo. If you go to Spain, you will see that piece of cloth with the face of Jesus in the Basilica of San Salvador in Oviedo, Spain. So that is proof for us. Okay? And then, what happened is, Mary Magdalene will return to the tomb, because we're going to be about the morning, and she will be so sad, and then she will see somebody there, and will mistook that person as the gardener. But when Jesus said, Maria, calling her name, she immediately recognized that it's the Lord. And she she said, Rabboni, okay, teacher. So that's the first part. And then she would announce to the group that indeed she had seen the Lord and had given the instructions that the disciples would go to Galilee, to the place where he had told them. Meanwhile, Peter himself will see the Lord Jesus. In fact, when he appears to him, he will see Jesus as if he was seeing a ghost. But then Jesus will tell him, okay, give me a fish of bread and fish. And he ate it in front of Peter. And that's why Peter would know that Jesus indeed is who he sent. In the afternoon, 2 other disciples, this would be on the road to Emmaus, Cleophas and Simon. They will be discussing as they walk towards Emmaus what happened in Jerusalem. And Jesus would walk with them, and they will be discussing and arguing about those things that transpired in Jerusalem. Jesus will open the scriptures to them, what was written in the law of Moses and in the prophets. But even though their hearts will be burning inside them, they will not recognize the Lord until they will arrive at Emmaus. And there they will invite Jesus. It's nearly evening, and Jesus will be with them until the time that they will be sitting at table. And there Jesus would take bread, bless it, and gave it to them. And their eyes were opened that it is the Lord. And that's why we call it breaking of the bread. And that evening, the last would be Jesus appearing to the 10. Thomas would be absent. And there, he will show them the wounds in his hands and in his side. But there's an important thing that will happen in that meeting. Jesus will share with them his spirit. And then they will be sent on a mission that as the Father has sent him, so he will be sending them. And they will be given power to forgive. That's why he said, whose sins you shall forgive are forgiven, whose sins you shall retain, they are retained. Then the next time will be 8 days later. 8 days will be the next Sunday. And this time, we will take note that Thomas would be with them. And so, even though the king told Thomas that they have seen the Lord, he said, I want to do, unless I have seen the marks of the wounds and placed my hand on the wound on their side. And so, 8 days later, the next week, that is Sunday. That's why you have to come from Resurrection Day, Easter Sunday. The 8th day would be the 5 verses Sunday. Okay? And so, Thomas would explain, my Lord and my God, upon seeing Jesus. And look at Jesus telling them, did you believe, Thomas, because you have seen me? Blessed are those who have not seen and yet believe. Did you follow? Blessed are those who have not seen and yet believe. Why? Thomas is our representative. We were not there. We only believe because of the teachings, the preachings of the apostles. And so, Jesus will be referring to us. Blessed are those who have not seen and yet believe. And so, that is what is going on with us. Every time we come from Mass, for the breaking of the bread, we have to explain like Thomas, my Lord and my God. Now, today's Gospel is the third time that he appeared. He revealed that he is to the risen Lord to his disciples. this time there will be 7. They will be trying to catch fish all night long, but will fail. And in the morning, Jesus will be there and would ask them, have you caught anything? And they will answer, no. And Jesus will give the instructions, throw the net on the right side of the boat. And because of the number of fish caught, John explained, it is the Lord. It is the Lord. Now how is this? Because this is the second time that happened. At the beginning of the public ministry of Jesus, remember, after preaching to the people on the shore, while seated on the boat of Peter, Jesus would ask Peter to go a little bit farther from the shore for a catch. All night long, they haven't caught anything. But now Jesus said, throw the nets. And 2 nets almost sank. That's why the boat of Peter almost sank. But what is important there is Jesus kneeling before Jesus, telling him, depart from me, Lord, for I am a sinful man. That's the first time that this happened. And Jesus said, I will make you fishers of men. So you try to connect it, the beginning and now it is the time of resurrection. That's why they recognize that it is the Lord, because only the Lord can do this. All night long, they really tried as best as they can, but it was futile. They got nothing. Now, the first time, the nets almost broke. This time, they got 153 big fish. That is symbolic. 153. Now, so Peter again would be ahead of the group. That's why we call it the primacy. Always Peter would be first to be with the Lord. And this time, they would have breakfast. And Jesus asked that they get from the catch. Now, why 153? You're able to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 153. Then this is a biblical number. You know all the biblical numbers. The first number you should know would be number 3. It is the perfect number. And that's why it stands for the 3 persons in one God. Second biblical number would be 7. 7 is a complete number. That's why in the book of Genesis, you have the narrative, the story of creation. It would be 7 days. Then, what is also common would be 10, especially for 10 commandments. Why 10 commandments? Because if you look at the 10 commandments, the first 3 would become the perfect number. And the next 7 would be the complete number. That's why it's 48. That's why when Jesus was asked, which is the greatest of all the commandments, he said, love God with all your heart, with all your mind, with all your soul, with all your strength. The first 3. And then he said, love your neighbor as yourself. That will be the next 7. And that's why we have the 10 commandments. Okay? But then, you also have the number 8. The 8 would be the number for celebration. So whenever the Jews would celebrate, it will always be 8 days. So from the time you're born to the time of circumcision, where you will be given a name, that will be 8 days. Okay? Meaning say the next day. Okay? And look at even the circumcision of Jesus 8 days later. John, it's 8 days later. Even the wedding at Cana. You know, the wedding at Cana, they like wine because it's 8 days. And you have all the people in attendance. No? And so, not to be embarrassed, the couple, the Blessed Mother asked Jesus to perform why the water was changed into wine. So 8 days. We also have the 8 beatitudes, ethical principles that we will take note. But 7, to be made perfect, you should have 7 of 7. That would be 49. And that's why in the book of Exodus and Leviticus, the year after 49 should be celebrated as Jubilee. And that's why you have a golden anniversary. And half of the golden would be
21.
We don't know. It would be silver. 23. These are all beautiful, but we're celebrating this. Okay? And so 153 would be a combination of 7 and 10. So 7 plus 10 would be 19, right? 7 and 10 would be 17. And so when you go home today, okay, you add 1 plus 1 plus 2 plus 3. And when you reach 17, you will have 153. You get it? If you know how to add that. But that's how it's 7 and 10. It's 17. Because at that time, the belief was that the number of fish in the sea would be 153. And that's why it's called. And that would be the word that will be used for a Catholic Church. It's universal. It's for all. You get it? Okay. So 153 because they have to preach to all. Remember before the ascension, that would be expressed by Jesus to go into the whole world, preach to all nations. Okay. Now that would be the first part, but the second part, which is just a little, would be the commissioning of Peter to share in the shepherding mission of Jesus. If Jesus is the good shepherd, so now Peter would be serving in that capacity. And so after breakfast, Jesus would turn to Peter and said, "Do you love me?" And Peter would respond, "Yes, Lord, you know I love you." And Jesus would say, "Feed my lambs." The second time, "You love me?" And Peter will again respond, "Yes, Lord, I love you. And now, take care of my sheep." So that would be the small ones. Okay? Take care of my sheep, the bigger ones. And the third time, Peter will be asked, "Do you love me?" And we know that Peter was sort of a little bit offended because he did not realize that 3 times he denied Jesus at the Garden of Caiaphas. Remember, he was asked it, "You are with him. You know that guy." And he always says, "No." And that's why this would be the 3rd time he would be asked. And Jesus would say, "Feed my sheep." So this is important because in the first one, you can see the entirety, the whole, that they have to serve because they are fishers of men. But then, now, to become a fishers of men, you have to be the responsibility to also serve as a shepherd. Okay? And so, this is our life. Remember, parents. That's why Peter would serve as the parent of the church. Now, this would also be the role of parents in families. Because the family is the church of the home. Have you heard of that? Domestic church, when things in mind. And the bigger church, which would be the responsibility of Peter, okay, he would serve also as the shepherd. Because as the shepherd, You just don't nourish and feed the flock. You have to defend the flock from those who will try to kill it. You have to look for the lost sheep, and you have to bind those that are ill and sick. So, this would be the kind of life that we have to live. We belong to the pasture of the Lord, and we have to share in the shepherding role of Jesus. So each one of us will always be in that position. You will never be able to say, I am free. No. So you can say that in the church we have shepherds, in the family we have shepherds. Even though the parents would not be there, remember, let's say you have brothers and sisters living together, the elder would act as the shepherd. Have you experienced that? Sometimes you notice that they have to be the teacher of their younger siblings. They have to take responsibility over their life, because that is what Jesus intended that we do perform in the life of one another. And so let us ask our Mother Mary to truly fill our hearts and minds with the truth of life. We believe that Jesus is risen. He confirmed this in so many ways with his disciples after the time that he would have to ascend to heaven put this day. With Mary our Mother, we will always show to others that indeed Jesus is alive, he is risen, by the way we show our concern for one another, the way we try to take care of each other's needs, and especially the way we are able to show to them that truly Jesus, the Good Shepherd, is alive, because we have been performing and functioning as shepherds of one another. May God